have been some change with AVIXA, especially in the running of IC. You're handling all the conferencing. Is there a reason for that? And what's the direction that AVIXA wants to go with its content?
Excellent question, Clive. So ultimately, as we looked at the conference this year and the larger conference, there was an opportunity to bring together what we hear 365 days a year through our exchange program, through our councils, through our advisories. There was really an opportunity to take that content, that education, that thought leadership, along with CEDIA, who took a much deeper look into the conferences that ISE puts on, and take a new spin at it. And so we've worked with the teams to bring together all of the conferences that you're seeing. CEDIA has done a wonderful job with the Smart Home Technology Conference. We've taken on the majority of the others, and it's really been a great opportunity to expand the thought leadership, to bring in some new speakers. We're still working with many of our conference chairs from the historical past, but it's been such an exciting opportunity to really jump in and look at the trends, look what the innovation has been coming out of the pandemic, and what are the challenges that we're still facing as an industry. It's a really wonderful program.
What innovations are coming out then, and how's that affecting the councils exactly?
Well, with our councils, they really provide such great insight, and they're able to tell us what's happening on a day-to-day basis, whether that's looking at things that rising professionals need to be getting more access to, whether it's our diversity council, our women's council, our manufacturers council. They're really there to not only do great work within the industry, but they're also advising us on some of the pieces that we don't get to hear on a daily basis. Megan, who's sitting next to me, has done a phenomenal job since she's been in with us at AVIXA to really work with the councils.
You've got quite a challenging role there, haven't you?
Yeah, well, it's a lot of people in a lot of different places lending their time when it's free, but they find value in coming together as a group together. And what we have the advantage of is listening in, right? Asking the right questions and allowing them to connect with each other on the issues that they're facing, and then taking that back and seeing if we can action it. And this relationship between AVIXA and the councils is built on the relationships they build with each other. So I find that we are helpful in finding their purpose for being on the call and using their time for that. And we take advantage of that opportunity to hear what they're saying and really see if we can support them.
And Megan, we've got a couple of council events actually happening today. And you've helped to be a part of those and help bring that together.
Yeah, the Women's and Diversity Council are combining their efforts, and they are hosting a session on technology at the service of inclusion. So we're talking about esports and what we're building out, what is happening at Durham College to help people get the resources they need to get involved in esports, how technology can help older folks, how it can help in so many ways. And it's just a really broad look at the ways inclusion can be built in the work that's done in the pro AV industry. So they've combined their efforts, and then we're going to have a reception to bring our volunteers together who are often disparate and on, especially for the past 3 years, on virtual calls, and get them to meet and bring others to join, because that's that connection that we're looking for.
It's linking up elements of experience from people who are at the sharp end of what's going on, isn't it, really, and getting their views and what's happening practically, and get that. That's invaluable, really. But it's actually finding these people. Do they come forward? Do you pick them, or how do you go about getting them into a council?
Right,
It must be very difficult.
Please.
It's a mix, right? It's all of we try all the strategies, because it can feel genuine when I ask or when AVIXA puts out the message. The connection of member to member, or a council member talking about why they do that with even their coworkers, brings others in. It's having events at ISE and putting their name out there, so people walk in the room or walk by the reception and we capture them there. It's a multi-pronged process, and we continue to do it over and over again and see what works. But different people are attracted to different things, and we also know that not everyone has the time at this point, but they may have a time 6 months down the road, because everyone's busy. So we get them when we can.
I mean, there are two big things going on, but it seems from people we've talked to, is one is attracting new talent in the industry, which has been going on for a few years now. And actually, this onslaught of IT skills that now is in more and more demand. I mean, with people who are not calling people AV managers anymore, they're IT managers, which seems to me, I just wonder, where's the AV element going? Is that being absorbed by IT, or are AV professionals gaining new skills? It's difficult to know. And on top of that, you've got new talent that's outside we want to attract in, which doesn't really recognise AV in the sense that we used to recognise it, but they're digital. And that, as a magazine trying to cover these sort of newer areas, it's always a challenge knowing how to package it. That must be a difficulty, I think, for a trade association to know how you can appeal outside. Because I look to AVIXA to try and sort of lead the way on all that, really.
There's definitely a convergence happening. Clive, you and I were chatting before we really turned on the cameras about what's going on in the industry and how we look at it really from a full experience and not one product to another. And that's because it's an ecosystem. We're not simply, just displays. We're not simply just a speaker, right? We're so many pieces and parts coming together in that ecosystem. And as we look at the convergence of AV and IT, you're absolutely right. IT is trending as sort of that overarching umbrella of activity. And I think that the industry has done a really nice job of continuing to really shout from the rooftops, blow that horn about the IT knowledge that our AV folks need. And in addition to that, what we've been working at as an association is how do we give IT some of that AV knowledge, right? That convergence is absolutely happening. It's coming together. And how do we help lay that pathway and that groundwork? And I think that's where the industry is at.
And it's got to come from AV in, hasn't it? But I very rarely meet IT people who have a clue what AV needs and how it operates. They just don't have that thinking, do they? It's got to be the AV in.
I think you'll find them more and more. I'm certainly coming across them. Someone who I will not name shared a funny ha-ha with me, and I've held on to it, which is AV makes IT look pretty. So ultimately, IT can come in, right, and they can build out that conferencing collaboration package, right? They can make sure that you and I can chat on Zoom, and it's going to function. But AV is going to come in, and we're going to make it look great.
Fantastic, like a sous chef. You may not be working 9 hours out of 10, but it's that little bit of essence that you supply to make it look great. There's always stuff about virtual production we were talking earlier, but it's all very well. Is it going to be part of an IT infrastructure, and are IT going to end up managing it, or is it going to be the AV people who are just adding it to their portfolio?
I mean, that's a little
That's
bit of a
tricky
crystal
one,
ball
isn't it?
moment, right?
Anything that bangs on the network or is connected to the main ops is going to have to be probably managed in a different way.
I think it really depends where the ownership of the funds are, where the ownership of the network are, if they're separated and siloed or if they're coming together. But ultimately, what I think we all know is that we better darn well be working together. So let's get to that now.
That requires certain skills, though, doesn't it? Project management, cultural change going on. It's a lot to ask for one person, isn't it? It must provide you with something of a dilemma when it comes to training. How do you prepare, and how do you develop a training program that takes into account all these things, all these skills that are required?
Well, we're certainly providing from an education standpoint as much as we can in terms of IT skill sets and continuing the path with our CTS and all of the Pro AV skill sets. When it comes to business and leadership, we're putting together some really amazing content for InfoComm. We'll share that when the time is ready, but we're really excited about that opportunity. And we're hearing the industry. We know that our folks are coming across challenges, and you talked about workforce development and how we can work on that, and certainly this business and leadership. We also have our Global Partners program where we're bringing together some of the largest industry leaders and getting that peer-to-peer feedback and that peer-to-peer really workspace to come together. So there's lots of opportunity.
I've always thought it odd that I don't meet many CIOs when it comes to centrally core AV stuff, and now it's become, I've always thought AV is quite a strategic technology or set of technologies, and never really thought of as being strategic. I think we're reaching a point now, because it permeates everything we do, whether it should be at C-suite level in that discussion.
I
Because
think
it's
it has to
integrated
be.
into company. It's so integrated, or it should be.
If we've learned anything during the pandemic, it is that we need to be able to connect, right? There is, for me personally, nothing better than getting to a show like we are at right now and getting to meet those people one-to-one, and the hugs and the smiles and just the experience of that. However, we need to be able to communicate, and so many of us were challenged at the beginning of the pandemic. And who was the guiding light? Who was the oh my God, we can fix that? Well, that was Pro AV, and it is absolutely strategic. Dave Labuscus, our CEO, talks about how AV can change the way you experience the world. If there's probably nothing more strategic in a statement than that. It's everywhere.
And he's got an IT background, hasn't he?
He does.
Comes from a software company, in fact. So he's perfectly positioned, really, to see, have a different perspective on everything, really. It's quite fortuitous, I think. So where we go from here, then? What's the next year or two going to hold? Major changes still, or we're handling all the content as I see, aren't you? Which I think is a natural role for you, and research development and everything
We're
else.
really excited about it. We did have a short runway to bring together the conferences this year. So I think it is wonderful to get here, get it accomplished. Between the tech talks and the conferences, and so much that's going on around the show floor. I think we're so excited as we look at 24 and beyond with that, as we continue to grow with ISE, and ISE continues to grow. They've already shared that this is the largest show in terms of square meters. What a great comeback. What a great honor to be able to say that. And as we look at InfoComm, we continue that, along that path of being the must-attend event of the year, right? Where else do you get to see all of those manufacturers and systems integrators and buyers, right? How do we continue to bring the buyers together? And we've got some really exciting programming coming there as well, bringing the buyers to the show. We're focusing in on that business skills and leadership. We're absolutely focusing in on IT. Really proud of the fact that we're focusing in on diversity, equity, and inclusion. For both Megan and I, that is an implicit, absolute need as we think through how do we grow our workforce and get them ready, and bring more to Pro AV. So it's all coming. It's exciting, and I think that watching what has happened through the pandemic, and the challenges with the supply chain and the challenges across, the world, really, the innovation that's coming out and the way that our exhibitors, our clients, our customers, the way that they're looking at things, it's exciting.